And hey, like most of the planet, the Olympics, of course, are on. And honestly, not much of a sports fan, but don't worry, there's plenty of sideshows. There's plenty of, I was talking to some friends last night, in fact. I'm not so much an Olympic sports fan, but I'm enjoying the memes. Yep, there's plenty of memes coming out of the Olympics. Others have described it as the TikTok games. Lots of TikTok about particularly the cardboard beds in the Olympic Village and other things as well. The other big thing which has come out of the Olympics this year, which is perhaps the best games ever for conspiracy theories. For people that have a certain point of view and want to see conspiracies and cabals under every rock. There's plenty of that happening in Paris at the moment as well. Joining us on the program now from the Maxim Institute's Executive Director, Tim Wilson. Tim, kia ora. Thank you for your time today.
Kia ora, Andrew. Great to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Are you glued to the screen, as it were? I mean, as a former international correspondent, is this your jam, Tim?
Oh, no one loves their sport like me, Andrew. Actually, here I'm a splay-footed, knock-kneed failure as an athlete. So it's always a pleasure to see people doing it right.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a time thing as well. So we're picking the hors d'oeuvres out. Let's put it that way.
Exactly, and some nice hors d'oeuvres, and it's good that they serve up leftovers the next day for us to go, did we win anything? No, we didn't. Okay, back to bed.
Yeah, but just don't go and eat anything that's been washed in the Seine.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. Talking today, though, about, I suppose, the social media response, and with every Olympic cycle, and this has been a shorter rinse cycle perhaps than normally we have between games, we seem to be upping the ante in social media. The fun stuff like the TikToks, but also the dodgy stuff, the conspiracy theories, and I think leading the pack on this one has been some sectors of the Christian community or faith-based communities generally. Just because it's a white horse doesn't necessarily mean it's the apocalypse, perhaps.
Well, I'm interested in the conspiracy theory, which is like, oh, it's not, it's actually not a white horse. People are saying it's a white horse. Then you dig into it and you find it is a white horse. Now, we may have to disagree agreeably here, Andrew, but let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there is a certain spectacle to the opening ceremony of any games, and we would expect the French to do things in a slightly avant-garde French way. And that was certainly the case. And it's even Elon Musk, the defender of the free world, was shocked and appalled on X, formerly known as Twitter, at how offended everybody was going to be at the so-called Last Supper. What did you make of it?
Yeah, look, that I will say, you were saying that, the French will do it in an avant-garde way. I would say intellectually and culturally, there's nothing lazier than blasphemy, because you just know it's just a button you can push, and people will respond. What was interesting to me was that first there was the natural response. This was and now just to be clear on what we're talking about, this was the evocation of the Last Supper. In the opening ceremony, there were drag queens there. Mm-hmm. There was some bloke in blue who was supposed to be Dionysius, et cetera, et cetera. And it was very evidently a mockery of the Last Supper, and referenced Leonardo da Vinci's painting, as well as the actual Last Supper that Christ, where Christ, before his crucifixion, broke bread with his disciples. And so what we saw, which was fascinating, was we saw the outrage or the response, the backlash, if you like, and then we saw the backlash to the backlash, which was fascinating for me. Then this is what I call the conspiracy theory, which is like, Oh, no, you're not seeing an image of the Last Supper. What you're actually seeing is an otherwise little known Dutch painting called The Feast of the Gods. But because you're a Christian and you have no idea of culture, you have no intellectual acuity, then you wouldn't really understand that. And actually, if you dig into the facts of the matter, and those people who are actually performing in that particular segment, people knew exactly what they were doing.
Exactly. I mean, yes, you can have an escape hatch if you like, but the depiction of and the placement of the figures, the fact that the central
Yes.
figure had a halo, and the way in which they were leaning in a similar pose. Although some people would say that this isn't Jesus, this is Leonardo da Vinci's depiction of Jesus. This is very unlikely to what the actual Last Supper would have looked like. It's a depiction of a depiction. It's once removed. Is that still blasphemy in your opinion?
Well, I think anything that attempts to denigrate such a holy moment is blasphemous. Of course it is. And Bishop Barron, who's a Catholic apologist, was very clear on this. He said that Christians were offended because it was offensive, and it was intended to be offensive. If we're talking about Aunt Mavis having some people over for a cup of tea and we're satirizing that,
Yeah.
then where's the juice?
Yeah.
But so I think that the notion of it's merely a cultural mode, that cultural mode rests on the faith mode that Leonardo's painting has survived as long as it has, because it rests on something foundational. Yeah. And that's the Last Supper, where our Lord said, "This is my body and my blood, which will be given to you."
I mean, it's perhaps full irony that we've got another Da Vinci Code conspiracy theory based in Paris, and honestly, not much better literature than the Dan Brown novel.
I always like to remind people that is a work of fiction. Sometimes people think it's a non-fiction work. What's interesting to me, and one of the things I unpack in the column, is that the notion of conspiracy is actually, and the philosophy lecturer unpacks this in a really good way, is actually quite akin to heresy. Mm-hmm. So the prevailing orthodoxy of our times. Now, our times are not necessarily neutral on faith. Now, that's quite anti-faith in terms of the way the establishments respond, and we saw this with the response to the opening ceremony of the Olympics. It's like, oh no, you're not seeing what you're actually seeing. Yeah. So in a sense, Christians have become the new heretics, which is, there's an irony there. But I would just encourage, and I don't want to limit this just to Christians. It's like any heretical group. So It could be a political group. It could be people saying objectionable things. You go to the free speech argument that you touched on with Elon Musk. But it really pays to dig into the facts, and one of the star performers in that segment actually said in her social media account, "This is the new gay testament," clearly referencing a religious event. Now, that was deleted, and she got on message with the Dutch painting. The same that the Olympics actually said to the New York Post, "Oh no, we were referencing the Last Supper." Mike, I think, as I've looked into it, possibly both images were being referenced, that Dutch painting as well as the Da Vinci painting.
The Dutch painting probably in itself was referencing the Leonardo original.
Yeah, but don't pretend that the mask is actually the reality.
Yeah,
or isn't the reality. Pardon me, put it that way.
There has been a response, not just, as you say, from the Christian community, but Jesus is a significant figure within Islam as well. And given the history of response to blasphemy from the Islamic community in Paris, some people have pretty short memories, Tim.
Yeah, and that's and again, but then when you have a group that is culturally and politically invalid, then they're treated differently. And when you get half truths that are weaponized, so for example, it's actually about a Dutch painting. No, you're getting it wrong. again, that's when you get in this position where you start to see the conspiracy theory sort of is like a fog that descends, and oh no, we just wish you objectionable people would go away. But no, my advice to to anyone when they see a conspiracy theory, when that phase is deployed, start digging into the facts. Let's not have the conspiracy Olympics, Andrew.
Exactly. And hey, I think there may be some. I'm not sure. New Zealand might do quite well in the conspiracy Olympics, but it's not necessarily something you want to win gold in. We
don't want to get the gold there. We want to come last in the conspiracy Olympics. I'm calling it as a knock-kneed failed athlete.
Tim, this article, and certainly a thought-provoking article for people that have perhaps heard the other theories, I would encourage you to read this one and balance your life. Going to be posted on the Maxim website a little bit later this week, maxim.org.nz. Tim, thank you so much. A great conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Always a delight. Catch you later, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.